Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live. Coming at you after some shocking news late last night. The Dallas Mavericks trading franchise player, one of the, if not, I would say the best player in the NBA. There's not many people I put ahead of Luka Doncic, but news coming out late last night that Luka traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Christie, and I believe a first-round draft pick in 2029. How to make sense of this one? I could not even believe the notification coming across my screen when the news first broke a little bit, after midnight Eastern time. Thought it had to be one of those fake accounts. Sometimes you get notifications from, TikTok, X, and it's like a suggestion, right? A post that somebody's suggesting that you might like. I thought surely this is just one of those spam accounts just trying to get clicks, trying to get views. Nope. News confirmed very, very quickly around the league and then by Mavs beat writer Brad Townsend that Luka, in fact, was heading to LA for the exact deal that was first reported originally by Shams. I could not believe it now. And couldn't believe it then, couldn't believe it now. And I'm going to try and make sense of this one and take you guys' comments and questions, of course, as we get into it. One of our first Mavs pods. Haven't done a Mavs pod quite yet. I will say this, the injuries, Luka, and everything of that nature combined with it being football season, I hate for this to be my first Mavs pod of the year, but I think that there's not any better or any more of a fitting time than this one with the huge news that Luka Doncic is traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, essentially. We're going to get into everything here in just a little bit. Like I said, we'll take comments, questions, give you our take on it, throw some things your way, see what you think. But first here, Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Mavs and especially the Dallas Mavericks during the NBA season. Thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Dallas Mavericks content. It could get interesting here, over the next, I think 2, 3, 4 weeks. We're really going to see how this starts clicking. Initial reaction, shock, I would say anger. This is a franchise player that does not come around every single draft, doesn't come around, I wouldn't even say every 10 years, every decade. Luka Doncic, I don't know how you could argue he's not one of the 3 best players in the NBA right now. And I think that as you look at the trade and you look at past trades, you wonder, how did the Mavs not get more for this deal? I know that AD is a very, very good player. Anthony Davis, let's not get it twisted. AD just put up 42 and 23 in his last full game as a Laker. 42 points, 23 rebounds. This guy is not a freaking scrub. Let's not get it wrong. I know it's hard to get past the initial shock of trading Luka, but let's not pretend like AD is trash. AD just dropped 42 and 23, and I think the game before that, he was over 30 and had 13 rebounds. I mean, this guy is an incredible ball player with elite defensive skills, something that, as we all know, as Mavs fans, has been incredibly lacking over the past, I would say, several seasons, really going back to Luka first starting out with the team. Defense has always been an issue. They've done little things to make it better over the years. I think obviously adding D-Live was huge last year, a big reason why they made it as far as they did. And I think even Luka will tell you that. I think you remember some of Luka's post-game interviews. Luka straight up said, we don't get where we're at without D-Live. The Mavs had been doing things to improve defensively, but obviously with Luka on the court, you're almost, in so many words, giving up one player. You're almost playing 4-on-5 with Luka at different points, defensively speaking. And so getting AD obviously gives the Mavs a huge defensive boost. And I actually feel like the Mavs are still going to be a pretty quality team this year. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But going back to the trade itself, I think that getting 3 first-round picks or 4 first-round picks plus AD is probably asking a little bit too much. I know that maybe some people would disagree. You look at other deals. I know Rudy Gobert got 4 first-round picks. Like, I will say this about first-round picks. I am just curious, and I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. How many first-round picks actually end up becoming bona fide superstars? Like, how many first-round picks end up becoming generational talents? I don't know how valuable having 3 or 4 first-round picks is, and I don't really know if first-round picks always end up working out anyways. I'm not too upset that they didn't get 4 or 5 first-round picks. I'd much rather have AD, a guy who I think is probably top 10 in the league right now, than a bunch of first-round picks. So I don't really know who's sitting around saying that they'd rather have a bunch of picks versus AD. I don't think you were getting AD with 4 or 5 first-rounders. Now, could you have gotten maybe 2 first-round picks? I tend to think 2 could have probably been doable. I'm a little surprised it's just 1 first-round pick. I really am shocked that you just got the one in 2029 and that's it. But anybody saying they'd rather have a bunch of first-round picks, I'd much rather have AD and 1 first-rounder than no AD and 3 or 4 first-rounders. First-round picks, they're not money in the bank. I feel the same way almost in every sport that allows you to trade the first-round picks. A lot of the times, unless you're getting into the top 5 or unless you have the lottery pick itself, you're not guaranteed a generational talent simply by having a first-round pick. I'm not saying that the trade is a good one. I'm not saying that the Mavs won this trade in the short term or long term per se by making that point. But what I am saying is I really don't get the mindset of I'd rather have the 4 first-round picks than AD in 1. I'd rather have AD in 1 versus 3 or 4, and you don't get a top player like AD. At least the Mavericks are going to be competitive. I don't know how you can sit there and say the Mavs are going to be terrible. I've got a varying perspectives, I should say. Friends, of course, got a ton of buddies in DFW who have reacted to the trade, been online, much like you all have. Anybody trying to say that the Mavs are suddenly going in the toilet because of this trade, I don't get that perspective at all. I think the Mavs, when you look at the rest of the Western Conference, you've got OKC up at the top. I think that OKC is a really, really good young basketball team. But I think that the Mavericks kind of are in their heads a little bit. I think the Mavs have OKC's number. I don't think the Mavs fear OKC in any way. You can look at even some of the matchups from this year when they didn't even have Luka and were beating OKC. So I'm not really too worried about OKC at this point. I'm not saying that we're going to be sweeping them with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, and the rest of the crew. But I don't fear OKC in the playoffs. Then you go down the list. You go to the Suns. Don't really fear the Suns. D-Book, KD. I think the Mavs match up really well with the Suns. Denver not playing defense right now. I really don't know. That defensive fall off, I think, kind of needs to be studied. Denver, just a couple of years ago when they won the championship, felt like a really good defensive team. Doesn't feel like they play any defense anymore. I really don't know who scares you in the Western Conference with the Mavs and a healthy Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, D-Live, Gaff, all those guys. Who really scares you? I know that in the long term, we all want Luka, and we all wish that Luka would be leading this franchise for the next 10 seasons, as everybody expected. Those of you that have been with me for a while, you know I'm always going to go glass half full. I will say, at least we're not left with nothing. The Mavs are going to be good. I think as long as AD is even remotely close to where he's at right now, I think that the Mavs are going to be contending every year that they have AD, Kyrie. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be. The Mavs are assembled right now to win now. The overreaction, I think, obviously comes from the type of player that Luka is and what you didn't get for him, considering what other players have gotten. You look at the Bridges trade, you look at the Gobert trade, a lot more first-round picks. They weren't getting Anthony Davis in those trades. I will say that. Again, think the Mavs could have gotten one more first-round draft pick. I think that would have felt a little bit more fair. 2 first-rounders in AD. I mean, you're getting a second-round pick in Christie. I don't think that is a nothing burger. I think Christie has actually played pretty well for the Lakers this year. Feels like 2 first-round picks would have been a lot easier to swallow. I don't think you were getting 3 plus AD. I just don't think that was ever going to be a possibility. Maybe the Mavs, without any kind of solid or top 10 talent coming their way, would be able to get 4. I just don't think that you're going to get the bag that you really think that you're going to get for Luka. Not a lot of teams, I think, are going to be willing to give you a top 10 player like Anthony Davis plus 4 first-round draft picks. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think that they could have gotten one more first-round pick. I don't think that they were going to get a whole lot more if you were going to get a top 10 player like Anthony Davis. And look, a lot of knocks on AD about the injury stuff, and I get it. Over the past 2 seasons, Anthony Davis has been really, for the most part, very healthy. I know that he's out at the moment right now, but over the past 2 years, Anthony Davis has played a lot of basketball. That doesn't mean that something crazy can't happen the first time he steps on the court for the Mavs, but that can happen with any player. AD has been relatively healthy, I think, over the past 2 years, if you look at the games played. And I looked at the numbers. He's played a lot of minutes and a lot of games, both in 2024 and in 2023. So the people that are going with the angle of you traded for an injury-prone athlete, I mean, yeah, sure, Luka is at his fair share of injuries, though. And AD, I think, over the past 2 years has been more healthy than Luka has. I am going to miss Luka so much, though. Luka was my favorite player. I thought that Luka would be a Dallas Maverick forever. I thought that he would never, ever wear another jersey. It's going to be weird seeing Luka in the Laker purple and gold. I'm not even ready for it. But what I am trying to do at this point is trying to make any kind of positive conclusions that I can about the trade. It's hard right now. It's easy to crap on the trade like everybody's doing. I do think this. I've seen a couple of the comments out there. I don't even care if the Mavs win 3 championships in a row. Without Luka, it's just not going to be the same. Come on. Really? If the Mavs win 3 championships in a row with AD and Kyrie, you're not going to care? Like, at that point, I say, are you really a fan? Are you really a fan if you're sitting there and not able to be happy about a Mavs championship this year just because you lost Luka? I don't get that at all. I miss Luka, and I will miss Luka, but I am not going to care as much about losing Luka if the Mavs win 3 straight championships. By no means am I proclaiming that, by the way, but some of those extreme hot takes don't understand at all. Look, I'm a fan of the team. I love Luka, big fan of Luka, but I'm not dumping the team over this deal. They didn't leave us with nothing. Don't know how many quality years that we're going to get out of Anthony Davis. I think that's the biggest question mark here. How much quality are you getting out of AD? I think that is going to make or break this trade overall. Are you going to get 4 good years, 3 good years even out of Anthony Davis? Is this going to be a 1-year, 2-year thing, and then Davis starts falling off the map? That would be worst case scenario. If you can get 4 good years out of Anthony Davis to age 35, I'm not saying the trade is great, but I am saying that makes it hurt a little bit less. We're going to get into more. I've got a few more things to throw you guys' way. I better jump into the comments. Y'all are hanging out and being patient. Appreciate everything. Horrible trade. Chris, what's good, man? Thanks for tuning in. A lot of people are going to say horrible trade, and I'm not a huge fan of the trade. In the short term, I think it's a great trade. In the long term, though, I can't say that by any means. I actually think the Mavs probably got slightly better in the short term with Anthony Davis and with this acquisition. I think that what you saw in the finals is Luka's defensive issues really leading to the loss. I don't mean to put it all on Luka. There's other factors that contributed. Kyrie did not play well in that final series. But Luka and the defensive liability that he was in the NBA Finals, clearly that was burning in the minds of Nico Harrison and the Mavs front office for a while. And I will say this. I know any negative thing I'm going to throw out there about Luka is just going to get overblown by everybody, but I'm just going to tell it like it is. I think we quickly forget how much criticism Luka took in that series against the Celtics. And I think we also forget how Luka played in that series. Like after going down 3-0 to the Celtics, Luka was getting absolutely torched. You remember he was whining like crazy about the officiating. He was screaming at the Dallas bench, challenging things. I think it was like, you better effing challenge that. Like, he was on the floor. And that moment is like quintessential for how that series went for Dallas. Luka screaming at the bench, screaming at the officials. And then the team goes down 3-0 while Luka's not playing great defense. Look, I'm not hating on Luka by any means, but I think what the Nico Harrison and the front office said to themselves is, we need defense to win this. And the reason why we didn't win the championship last year was because of that. And I do agree with the sentiment. Like, it is hard when you are playing 4-on-5 on the defensive end. It's hard. As good as Luka is scoring, it is hard to win an NBA Finals championship when you've got a guy that doesn't play defense on the other end. As good of a scorer as he is, and I think they did plenty to try and hide the defensive inefficiencies of Luka, it's tough. And I do think that at some point you've got to look back at Luka. I don't think this is the first offseason that the Mavs have asked him to play better defense or work harder at his defensive craft. I don't think this is the first season that the Mavs have asked Luka to be in better shape and to condition more, get in the lab, physically speaking, and trim down. There were reports, I believe, coming out last night, maybe early this morning, that Luka right now pushing 270. That is alarming to me. I know he hasn't been playing because of injuries, and so perhaps adding on the weight due to that fact, but 270. I don't know what he came into the league at. It wasn't anywhere close to 270 when Luka got drafted back in 2017. I would love to see how much he weighed in 2018 when he was drafted. It was not in the ballpark of 270. I see a comment here. He's chasing Zion. That's what I thought. I'm like, you're getting into Zion Williamson territory, pushing 270. So here's the question that I pose to you guys. And I appreciate all y'all that are commenting, and thank you so much for the people that have followed along the way. Like, what was the alternative if you're the Mavs? You've asked Luka, trim down, condition better. You've asked Luka, play better defense, make it a part of your offseason, lock in defensively, improve your defensive craft, and you're continuing to not get that from him. What, you just let him doormat you and just, hey, Luka, you're such a great scorer. You're one of the best of all time. We keep asking you to do this. You keep not doing it. So you just roll over. That was the alternative, right? Luka basically not committing to playing better defense or conditioning. So you just deal with it. That's like the only alternative I can really see And I'm not surprised that it caused tension within the organization because you're looking at Luka, one of the best players of all time, and you're seeing how much better he could be if he trimmed down, was better conditioned, could stay healthier. You're seeing the potential of just how great he could be, even better than what we thought that he was at the end of last year. And he's continuing to not live up or do that or follow through with the things that the organization is asking him to do. My point, it puts the organization in a really tough spot when your best player, your franchise player, is refusing to listen. And so I don't know if the answer is trading him in the shadows for Anthony Davis in a first-round pick, but I will say this. You're kind of handcuffing the organization a little bit when they're coming to you wanting you to improve in these areas, and instead you're pushing Zion Williamson territory at 270 pounds. I think Luka is, like I said, top 3 in the NBA right now, and I could probably make arguments that he is the best player in the NBA right now, and I love Luka Doncic. I 100%, though, look at the organization, look at the things that they were asking him to do. Look at Luka continuing to not do it. And I can at least understand why they would want to move off of him and perhaps go out and get a different fit. Luka right now, the injury, the calf injury. Do we know that the calf injury isn't because he is overweight and out of shape? I don't know. I think that it could obviously be just a freak injury that happens, but I think that it's not too far out of left field to say the extra weight, being out of shape, contributes to injuries, contributes to not being able to stay healthy. I don't think that it's extremely far-fetched. Like, they've got to know something that we don't. I think that's my point. The Mavs have to know something that we don't for them to make this trade. If everything's going well, if everything's going great, I don't think you blow something like this up. I think the Mavs probably saw a pattern of something, and they look down at the Supermax deal. They look at a player that's not willing to condition, not willing to play defense. And yeah, I think you do have some pause about giving $300+ million over 4 or 5 years to a guy like that. Look, I absolutely think the Mavs could have gotten another first-round pick in the mix, and I wish they would have handled it better. I wish they would have. Not telling Luka at all, not even giving him an inkling. I mean, I understand you don't want a big media firestorm. You don't want a chance to muddy the waters for other people, I should say, to muddy the waters. It does feel dirty how the Mavs did Luka, not even letting him know. You're getting reports, Luka still in shock, Luka stunned that he got traded. I personally think that it could have been handled a lot better. Maybe they knew that Luka and his camp wouldn't be able to keep it quiet. But I think not telling Luka, not telling J-Kid, not telling anybody, pretty wild. I will say the way in which it happened, I definitely take a mulligan on that. I don't know if just keeping everybody in the dark, Luka in particular, is the best move. You can come out and thank him in the press conference the next day all you want. Nico Harrison, Luka was brilliant. Thank you for the time here, blah, blah, blah. When you leave him in the dark and try and hit him up late night after the trade's already gone through, that ain't it to me. That could have totally been handled differently. Let me keep going here. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. Thank you so much. Started off as a riot outside the stadium. Now it's like a funeral with the coffin. Luka just too good to trade. Face of the franchise doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I don't think Kidd is happy either. J Kidd, I mean, I know people are over-analyzing the body language. Look, J Kidd, I can't say I feel like he's super happy either. I do know that J Kidd, Anthony Davis have a good relationship. That has been widely reported. AD, Kyrie, of course, a good relationship as well. Nico Harrison and AD, good connection there too. But I do think face of the franchise, Luka Doncic, I wouldn't have even had it on the map to trade him. I will say this, the conditioning, the defense, totally get the concern. I don't think that you can sit there and say, yeah, it's not a concern at all. It's a total nothing burger that Luka refuses to condition and be prepared for the season and the grind that it is physically. And Luka refuses to commit himself on the defensive end of the court. I don't think that it's ridiculous to understand where the Mavs are coming from, not being happy with Luka not doing those two things. I totally get it. I mean, when you're playing 4-on-5 against the Celtics because Luka's terrible at defense, it definitely speaks very loudly when you're watching Boston celebrate an NBA championship while you won, one game out of 5? And of course, like I said earlier, some of the lasting images of that series, there was a lot of Luka hate at the end of that NBA Finals. I think some of y'all remember that. I do think trading Luka, Jose, what's good, man? Trading Luka was insane, Jose says, but with AD now, the starting lineup looks good. It does look good. I don't even understand. Don't listen to anybody telling you the Mavs are going to be terrible. The Mavs are now, I think, the best defensive team in the West. I mean, maybe OKC is better slightly, but I don't know if there is a team that is any kind of leaps and bounds better than the Mavs defensively at this point when you add Anthony Davis. Like, the starting lineup is 100% legit. I think you've got Kyrie, you've got Clay, you've got Anthony Davis. That's a great big three. And then you've got other guys, Gaff, D-Live, Marshall. You've got dudes that can play. And I kind of wonder if the Mavs are totally done. I wonder if we're going to see another move made. Maybe the Mavs want to run it with the 3 centers. Maybe they want to run it with D-Live, Gaff, and AD. But I kind of wonder if they deal one of the centers. I kind of wonder if they try and deal Gafford, or I don't think they'll deal D-Live. I think it would be Gaff. Do you deal Gafford and try and get somebody else in that starting rotation? Or do you roll with 3 centers? You like the depth? AD kind of has already come out and said, even when he was with the Lakers, he'd rather play the 4 than the 5. I could see both angles. I could see trading Gafford, trying to get somebody else in that starting lineup that's elite. I could also see them rolling with the 3 centers and just dominating the paint. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what the Mavericks do from here. I tend to think they're not done making moves before February 6th. You got 4 days. Let the dust settle from this Luka deal. I wonder if they are going to be making some other big splash. I'm not saying they go get Fox or Jimmy, but will they make another big move, try and get somebody else to run alongside Kyrie, AD, and Clay? And I know Clay's been a little up and down this year. Look, I still love the ball in Clay's hands on an open 3. Like, I'll take Klay Thompson shooting an open shot from 3 land any day. I know Clay is not what he was in the late 2010s with the Warriors, but in the playoffs, open shot, Clay, I'll take that chance. Absolutely. Let me keep going. We'll see what we got for comments. Appreciate everybody. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I will say this. Some people are commenting about what's going on outside of American Airlines. Look, y'all got more time than me. I'm not even going to lie. Y'all got way more time than me if you are going down to protest an NBA trade. Like, I love doing these podcasts. I love getting on here, shooting the breeze with y'all, but I'm not trying to go spend a Sunday afternoon, a beautiful Sunday afternoon, protesting a Luka Doncic trade. Like, I love Luka. I'm not wasting my life protesting an NBA trade. I mean, even if you're a season ticket holder, I don't even care. I get it. You're passionate. I get it. We all love the Mavs and we all love basketball. I'm not wasting my life going down and protesting a trade or going to a funeral for Luka Doncic and his career as a Dallas Maverick. So, little too much for me. I'm just going to keep it totally 100 with y'all. Little too much for me. That's the last way I'm trying to spend my time on a Sunday afternoon, but more power to those people. More power to them. I will say I'm seeing some of y'all comments about it. Like, you got to admit, and those of y'all that have been hanging with me for a while, I know some of y'all see the Cowboys hat. Like, Jerry Jones has got to be loving this trade. Like, I mean, you take a lot of heat off of what the Cowboys have been doing so far in their offseason. So, look, Mavs doing the Cowboys a solid for sure. Worst trade in NBA history. Trade makes you worse now and worse in the next 3 years. Lakers will be good for the next 8 years. Lot to unpack in that comment from YouTube. I actually think that the Mavs upgraded slightly in the short term. I think you've got scorers already. You've got Kyrie. You've got Anthony Davis, both outstanding scorers. We just talked. Look at AD's last 2 stat lines from full games. 42 and 23, and then what, like 33 and 13? Like, you have got 2 bona fide scorers in Kyrie and AD at this point. And you know what? Luka, Magic, incredible. It's hard to think back to what he did in that Timberwolves series, winning that game, shooting that shot over Gobert, and then being gone, just a few months later in February. It's hard to think about that, but I will say this. Mavs have guys that can score the rock. Now, you look at the defensive side of things, there are teams where you can hide Luka and where Luka is not going to be as big of a liability just based on matchups. You face a team like Boston in the finals, and I think it was on full display what you're working with when you've got Luka on the defensive end. I'm not saying the Mavs are better off long-term trading Luka. I don't think that at all. I think, in fact, long-term, I don't even know if the Lakers won the trade. Maybe you could say that, but it depends on what they put around Luka. It depends. Like, the Mavs have put a lot of great talent around Luka, and they haven't been able to get it done. Luka's still 25 years old. Like, I would like to think he wins a championship before his career is over. I would really, really like to think that. I'm still going to be a Luka Doncic fan regardless. Going to be a little harder to do that with him playing in the purple and gold. Not going to lie, but I think Luka Doncic can absolutely still win a championship. Maybe this is a galvanizing moment for him. Maybe he does truly get back in the lab. LeBron giving him a little bit of mentorship with the health, with the conditioning. You never know. This could be one of those big moments for Luka where everything changes. But I will say this. You look at the Mavs and you look at what they've done with Luka over the past 5 years. They put some talented teams around him. They put some really outstanding players around him. And it would have been nice to see how this year played out, adding Klay Thompson, Gafford really emerging as a big piece. D Live, 1 more year of experience. Like, it would have been nice to see how this year played out. Mavs clearly didn't think that they had the time to let it play out, but I would have liked to have seen what would the Mavs have done with Luka healthy, obviously, this year. I did read a Fox article like a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple of days ago, excuse me, basically wondering if the Mavs were going to make the playoffs. And this was before the Luka Doncic trade. I think the Mavs would have found a way to get in regardless of whether or not they traded Luka or not. I think they would have found a way in. But I don't think that the Mavs were in a great spot this year. I would not have picked the Mavs to win it all this year after watching everything play out. I think the Mavs, in some ways, increased their odds to win a championship this year by trading Luka. Now, you look at a couple years down the road, I don't know if we're all feeling great, but I'm not going to be one of those fans that sits there and say, if the Mavs win it all this year, I'm not even going to be able to celebrate it. Like, I'm a Mavs fan before I'm a Luka fan, and I will continue to be a Mavs fan regardless. Look, I feel like a little bit at times disinterested this season just because of the sheer number of injuries. to me, as the dust kind of settles on this, I actually kind of feel like a little bit of life's been injected into the Mavs team and their chances. I miss Luka. There's sadness there, but in a way, this season was not going awesome. And now you trade Luka, you get AD coming into the fold. What new life could it inject into this Dallas Mavericks season? Like, I'm very curious. And I know some people like, AJ, what's good, man? I see you bringing up the result from today. Like, who cares about the result from today? Y'all really think that's some needle or barometer for how this is going to go? Nobody played today in Cleveland. Nobody played. Kyrie didn't play. I know Klay Thompson played. Did Gafford play? I don't even think Gafford played today. So anybody who's trying to use the 144 to 101 score as some indicator of how the Mavs are going to do the rest of the way, they played nobody today. So who cares? Like, it's just low-hanging fruit, easy clickbait at this point. The Mavs played none of their quality starters minus Klay Thompson. I don't even think you can look at today's result and make any kind of conclusion. So I'm not worried about today. I did not think the Mavs were going to win the ball game today. In fact, I expected a result like this. I'm sure everybody on that team, like all of us, were probably up till the morning hours, checking, rereading, refreshing, hoping it was all a bad dream. But at this point, like I said to y'all, like I've done my reflecting on it. I'm still not 100% on board with it, but I am going to do my best to make this into a positive and to try and get excited about it. I mean, there's no use wasting a bunch of time crying or whining. I can see why the Mavs would have wanted to move Luka considering the circumstances, not wanting to condition, not wanting to come into camp with the best possible 100% in shape mentality. And then also the defense. I get it. I think you could have gone about it a lot differently and probably have gotten a little bit of a better return. But anybody telling you they should have gotten 4 or 5 first rounders and Anthony Davis, that's a good. I mean, I think that's crazy. I don't think that that's realistic. I think you max could have gotten like 3 first-round picks, and even that would have been pushing it. I said 2 first-round picks and AD, throw in Christie. I don't think that that is a crazy unfair trade. The 1 first-round pick is, I think, what makes it more frustrating than anything. We keep going. Lakers should have thrown in Reeves. I know this comment was from a while ago. I don't know. Like I think if you throw in Reeves, and Austin Reeves is a really, really good player. Anthony Davis, obviously an elite player and a first-round pick. I don't know if you were going to get Reeves. I think 2 first-rounders, AD and Christie, would have been more in the ballpark. I think Austin Reeves and a first-round pick and Anthony Davis. I don't know. Austin Reeves still pretty young. Really, really good player. I mean, I would have loved to have had Austin Reeves, Anthony Davis, and a first-round pick. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think the Mavs were going to get that. I wonder, like, again, just what do the Mavs know that we don't? Are we going to find it all out in the coming weeks, months, years? I just got to think Mavs looking down the road. Do they not believe Luka's body is going to be able to hold up long term? I know that maybe that seems hypocritical considering you went out to go get AD, but at the same time, I just wonder what more is there to this story that we don't know right now. Let me see. This is good. If you're still hanging out, Steve-O, appreciate you, man. As a diehard Lakers fan, you guys are getting a good player to win now. AD can ball, beast on D. Max is a good player too, and we get our guy for the future. Plus, LeBron going to get his butt in shape. That's my thing with Luka. Like, is LeBron going to be able to get through to him and get that dude in shape? Now, look, right now he's injured. Again, we talked about it. Bro's pushing 270 according to reports. Luka pushing 270 according to reports. There's no way to spin that positively. That's not good. You're approaching Zion Williamson territory. And the fact that Luka's hurt right now does not help things. But if LeBron can get Luka on the health regimen that he's on, you look at Luka back in the bubble. I was watching highlights of Luka. This is probably around Christmas time. I was watching bubble highlights. You know, that big shot Luka hit against the Clips, that buzzer beater shot. That's a classic Luka moment right there, by the way. But you look at him in the bubble and then you look at him now, it's almost like you're watching a different player. I mean, in the bubble, dude was cut. Probably 225, maybe 230. I feel like he's gained about 40 pounds since the bubble. Again, go back in Google search, YouTube, Luka 2020 bubble, and you will see what I'm talking about. It is like almost an entirely different player. So Luka in the bubble versus Luka now, I get it. The injury does play a part. He's not clearly running around or doing any kind of high intensity training, but 270, just not good. I mean, look, maybe some people don't care as long as he puts the ball in the hoop, but it's going to be hard to play good defense and make it through a long season when you're carrying 270. And again, are the injuries a result of the out of shape, overweight, not committing to the conditioning? That, to me, I think the fact that he gets traded kind of answers that question. I think, yes. I think the Mavs believe that Luka gets hurt because he does not condition himself well. JJ, Luka needs his recovery beer now. Yeah, that was classic though, right? When Michael Finley takes away the beer from him. What was that? When they were going to the NBA Finals, right? They had won the Western Conference Finals over Minnesota, and Michael Finley's taking away the beer from him. I was seeing, by the way, I don't know if y'all saw this, but did y'all see the theory that Luka has a drinking problem and that's a factor in why he got traded? I don't want to go that far. Neither do I want to hypothesize stuff like that. Like, if that's true, dude needs a lot more than LeBron helping him to get into a healthy regimen. But that was one of the wild theories that I saw going on around Luka, and people were using that Michael Finley taking the beer away from him clip. That's a reason, or that might be something to point to when you consider and piece everything together with Luka and the weight and everything. I don't know if I want to go that far. But I think it's clear Luka does have an issue staying in shape and staying well conditioned. He's missed the last 2 training camps. He hasn't even, I don't think, participated in the last 2 training camps. And I know that he was playing with Slovenia in one of those summers where he missed the camp. So that kind of makes sense. But it's tough when you're not well conditioned. You're playing 82 games plus you're playing a postseason. It's tough. Let me keep going. Let's see. At least there's good news on the Stars front. Yeah, the Stars, man, they are making some moves right now. They are making some moves. Dallas Stars, it's unfortunate because I really do think, and I really do appreciate a team in Dallas like the Stars going out and making so many moves, but it just gets lost in the midst of this Luka stuff, all the Cowboys hoopla. Look, the Stars, though, they are doing really good things. They are. The concern must have been overwhelming, knowing that, Aaron, what's good, by the way, knowing that he's already said he will move on after this contract. The organization made the move now out of an abundance of caution. Now, all reports were saying that Luka was going to sign the max extension. I think that they reported a couple of different huge sources in NBA came out and said Luka had every intention of signing the max. So for me, I don't know if it was Luka saying, I want out. I don't know if it was Luka saying, I'm not going to sign the extension. But I think the Mavs had pause to give him that big of a deal, considering you're asking him multiple off seasons. Dude, get in the gym and come into training camp cut and ready to go. Dude, get in the lab. Improve your defense. Commit to it. We can't play 4-on-5 every single time down the court. I think that the Mavs had those conversations with Luka, and maybe in the moment, Luka is telling you, yeah, yes, I will. But it's just not happening. So it's a tough question. What do you do in that spot? Trading him clearly is one of the alternatives, one of the ways that you can go. What else are the Mavs supposed to do with the player that won't commit to those things? Again, either you deal with it and you just continue to get the same results, I guess. I don't know. You tell me, what were they supposed to do? Luka's not committing to training and conditioning well, and he's not committing to defense. What are you supposed to do? Like, I'm open to the alternatives. I really am. I'm not asking this rhetorically. Like, it makes 1,000% sense that they traded him. Don't get it twisted. I'm just curious, what are the alternatives? Dude's not listening to the organization or just not taking it seriously. The options are limited. I mean, they just are. Same results of going to the finals. Yeah, but again, you looked at that series. Maybe you can sit there and say, yeah, the Mavs are getting better and better. They're getting deeper and deeper into the playoffs. Luka made it to the Western Conference Finals, lost to the Warriors, then made it to the NBA Finals, lost to the Celtics. Neither one of those series, by the way, was particularly close. Sometimes I do think in sports, you do have to make really tough decisions. You move on from certain guys, from certain coaches to try and take it to that next level. I don't know if it's going to work out for the Mavs. I really don't. But I will say this. I don't think that the Mavs were in a great spot with Luka and what they had been asking him and what they had been talking to him about multiple off seasons. And so at some point, egos are going to get in the way. You've got Nico, you've got maybe J Kidd telling him, dude, get in shape, dude, commit to defense, and he's not doing it. What are you supposed to do? Again, not a rhetorical question. You throw it out there and you tell me. Let's see. Yeah, AD did tell the Lakers that he wanted to play 4, didn't want to play 5. So I think that the Mavs probably keep both centers. I think there was some speculation. Maybe they go out and maybe they trade one of the centers since they're rolling with basically 3 right now. I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing. I wouldn't be shocked if the Mavs aren't done making moves. But look, I think right now rolling with the 3 centers isn't the worst thing in the world. You've got Gaff, you've got AD, you've got D Live. It's a good trio. I really do think the Mavs can have a lot of success with those 3. Austin, we kind of talked about this, man. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Appreciate the comment. Again, some of y'all talking about the game today. Why are we even worried about the game today? Nobody played in the game today. Kyrie didn't play. I don't think Gafford played. I think Clay was out there. AD's not playing today. Luka didn't play today. The Mavs played literally almost nobody today in terms of starters. So I don't really know how you can sit around and try and use the game result from today as some kind of aha or gotcha moment. Like, they didn't play anybody. Come on now. We keep going. Mavs got straight fleeced. I wouldn't say fleeced, but I don't think that they won the trade in the long term. In the short term, I think it's going to look a little bit more like a wash. 2-3 years, the next 2-3 years. I don't see the Lakers really being some juggernaut. Like the Lakers right now, adding Luka, subtracting AD. The Lakers right now currently constructed are probably one of the worst defensive teams in the league. So I personally don't really know if I would go with the other side of it, like the Lakers suddenly upgraded and got so much better. I think there's actually a better argument to make that the Lakers got a little worse. You've already got a prolific scorer in LeBron James. I don't know how well Luka and LeBron are going to mesh. I would imagine the 2 great cerebral players that they are, they'll figure it out. I wouldn't be surprised if in the short term it's not a super easy transition for Luka and for LBJ. I think the Mavs are going to have a much easier transition than the Lakers are. I think AD is going to fit pretty seamlessly into that system when he comes back. Argue with me all you want, I guess. It'll literally be like talking to a wall. AD is built for the Dallas Mavericks system right now as currently constructed. With Luka and the Lakers, over the course of time, I absolutely think they're going to figure it out. And I think the Lakers with Luka are going to be really good. I don't know how you look at the Lakers right now in the starting lineup and you think to yourself, this team's going to win a championship. I can't see it. Who knows who they add over the next several seasons, but I don't know. He'll be hurt all the time, so he fits in fine. Look, AD has, whatever you want to say, AD has been healthier than Luka over the past 2 seasons. Luka, I feel like, has been playing hurt like perpetually for the last 2 years. There's always a limp. There's always something going on. Again, going back to the point, is it related to the conditioning? Who knows? But AD's been healthier than Luka the past 2 years. We keep going. Keep it 100. Luka, the truth. They didn't want to pay him. Held hostage, so trade him. Loses the chance at the Supermax. It was an ego trade. J Block, if you're still hanging out, appreciate the comment. That is what I'm saying. Like this was an ego trade. It was. Like I think that the Mavs got tired of Luka not listening to them. You've asked Luka for the past 3 seasons, get in shape and play freaking defense, and he hadn't done it. Personally, as a fan, I'm willing to put up with it because I love Luka Doncic, and I think he is easily a top 3 player in the NBA right now. When healthy. I mean, hate on him all you want right now with him being hurt. By the way, I'm just getting an ESPN notification. Fox traded to San Antonio. Wow. Now San Antonio with De'Aaron Fox, Wemby. That's crazy. Okay. A lot of big stuff going on in the Southwest Division right now. AD coming to town, and now De'Aaron Fox going to the Spurs. Shoot. Where do I rank AD if I put Luka at 3? I think AD is top 10. I would go top 10 for AD in terms of impact. Again, we're talking totally healthy. We're not adding in all of the intangibles. We're talking AD is totally healthy. AD just dropped 42 and 23 the other night, his last full game. AD to me is a top 10 player when totally healthy right now. We're not talking, dynasty mode, like, who do you want to build around? We're talking right now. Luka to me is top 3. AD is top 10. I think that the Mavs are not in the worst spot in the short term. It's the long term that I think has the most questions. Like Kyrie is going to keep getting older. AD, same thing. Who are you going to bring along that is going to be the next franchise player? And that's probably going to come through the draft, maybe another trade, maybe free agency. But that is what the Mavs are lacking right now. You've got basically a 3 to 4 year window that you've got to maximize. We keep going. Let's see. What does it look like for the Lakers' future? I think the Lakers have got to trade for somebody else. Look at the Lakers starting lineup. Look at the Lakers starting lineup. Who do you think, along with Luka, is carrying them? Luka and LeBron, and it's basically Austin Reeves, and then what? Rui, and a couple other dudes. That does not feel like a championship team. I think the Lakers have got to go out and get somebody else. And hopefully somebody signs there in the offseason. I don't know. The Lakers, though, I can't say I look at them and think championship team. I feel a lot more strongly, and I know I'm a bit of a homer. Clearly, you see the team I'm repping on my shirt, but the Mavs, to me, are in a better position right now to win the finals than the Lakers are. LaVine to the Kings, okay? So LaVine goes to the Kings. Let me see if I can pull up that full trade for De'Aaron Fox, Spurs. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. He's finalizing a trade to send De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs, multi-team trade that moves Bulls Zach LaVine to the Kings. Wow. Crazy. Crazy news. Hey, pretty cool at this time. I mean, all of these different trades, it's exciting for the league. Like, I know the league has been getting some crap, the ratings, all that stuff. Like, this is definitely going to be adding some flair to the NBA season. I will say that. I don't love Luka getting traded. I don't. I know that I'm trying to make it into a positive. I'm trying to play both sides. I don't love Luka getting traded. So don't get it twisted. That's me being 100% transparent. I don't love Luka getting traded. I wish that there was a scenario where they keep Luka. Luka gets more in shape. Luka gets better at defense, and you go win it all this year. I don't know if this was going to be the Mavs year, though. I did not feel like that as the season went on. Even with the healthy Luka, you always kind of feel like you have a shot. But I did not feel great that the Mavs were going to be winning it all this year. In some ways, I feel like they are in a little bit of a better position right now with AD this year, not looking at anything else, totally putting the blinders on. I think they match up a lot better with a Boston when you got a guy like AD. And I know I'm just throwing Boston out there. There's other teams that maybe could challenge, but I think Boston, we all agree, really good team. Probably the odds-on favorite right now to get back to the NBA Finals from the East. I think they're better matched up now against Boston. I think Boston figured out how to limit Luka, and I think Luka came out of that series not looking very good. And I think there was a lot of slander of Luka after the NBA Finals game. And Luka's main detractions in that series, the defense. And then also you saw, I think, a long season. Again, Luka not the most well-conditioned. Did Luka tire, break down a little bit at the end of that series? Probably played hurt a majority of the postseason. These are the things I think added up, and I think this is kind of a long time coming. I don't feel like Nico Harrison just decided this last night. I've got to think these things have been building, brewing. I don't really feel like you make this trade on a whim. I think going back to the finals, watching how this season played out, watching Luka miss another training camp, not being in shape, continuing not to play very well in the defensive end, I think it all adds up. And here we are. Like it, love it, hate it. I don't know. I think overall, not a huge fan of the trade. Would much rather have Luka, but I'm going to try and spin it as positively as I can. What's good, man? Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Mavs window for a championship is 3 years after that. We're cooked. If nobody materializes in the next 3 years, I do feel similarly. Like, what are the Mavs doing in 3 years when Kyrie's older, AD's older? What are the Mavs doing after this? AD and Kyrie, I can rock with that. 100% I can rock with that. But I cannot rock with none of those dudes and no backup plan whatsoever on who's going to lead the franchise after those guys age out. Who's the best player for the Lakers to trade? Well, I think the Lakers have one more first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. So if the Lakers have that first-round pick, I would imagine that they're probably going to use that and dangle that to try and get somebody else. I mean, I don't know who they have that they would want to deal on the bench. I don't want to pretend that I know everything going on or got my finger on the Lakers, but I'd imagine they're going to use that other first-round draft pick that they were able to hold on to. I think they need somebody else, though. Seriously. They need somebody else. All right, let me keep going. So we got to catch up on TikTok here. I know it's going to be hard to do, but I'm going to try and catch up. Let's see what I got. Luka, Pudge, Madonna, or Emmett in a different unit. Luka's probably the worst over all those guys, Richard. If you're still hanging out, Luka's got to be the worst. Let me keep going. Luka coming off the bench to back up Bronny. That's hilarious. Luka missing out on $117 million. I will agree. It's how it all went down that bothers me the most. Like I can reason and rationalize the short term on the trade to an extent, not letting Luka know about the trade and then also robbing him of a chance to make a lot of money. It feels wrong. I will say, though, it goes back to the conditioning, the defense, and all the stuff we've been talking about. The egos, it goes back to all that. Like in the Mavericks' mind, I'm sure Luka had every opportunity to show them and dispel the detractions and the defense and the conditioning. Like, I got to imagine every single offseason the Mavs have the same conversation with Luka and what he needs to do. And at this point, I think you're seeing Luka continuing to do what he wants to do. More power to him, is what it is. He's his own person. But I think what you saw is the Mavs not happy with Luka not coming along with the vision. And they use the word culture a lot in the presser this morning. Nico Harrison did, at least. I never got the vibe Luka wasn't a great leader in the locker room or anything like that, but I can't sit there and say, based on what I'm seeing and based on what I'm not hearing, doesn't feel like Luka is like the hardest worker in the building. Maybe that plays into it as well. You've got your star player not conditioning, not committing to what the team wants to do. I get it from that angle, but I totally think at some point it just became an ego thing, and they wanted to move on from Luka because of that reason. The lack of commitment to their vision and to what they wanted him to do. Keep going. Let's see. Dude just took him to the finals. Yeah, look, I don't know if this was an upward trajectory thing or if this was a ceiling thing. I think that's the question. What's the ceiling for Luka with the Mavericks organization? Like, I think Luka's ceiling is obviously an NBA championship, but with the Mavs as currently constructed, was the next step absolutely going to be a championship? I don't know. I don't really know if I could sit there and say that. The Mavs, to me, this year felt like a team that could make it back to the Western Conference Finals, but they didn't feel like a team that was going to suddenly beat Boston. So maybe agree to disagree on that, but were the Mavs beating Boston this year in a rematch? Yeah, I didn't feel that way. So I understand the argument. He took us to the finals. I think everybody who loves the Mavs is going to be forever grateful for the time that they had watching Luka in a Dallas uni, but I don't think the Mavs were knocking off the Celtics or winning it all this year. If I could just be real, I never at any point felt like Mavs are going all the way this year with how things were currently constructed. I think the Mavs could have made it to the playoffs and made maybe a semi-deep run. Don't know if I would have said you're winning an NBA championship, Dallas, this year. Keep going. If the results are there, what does it matter how big he is? Well, I think that the big thing is the injuries, right? With the weight being almost 270, according to reports, I think the issue becomes the injuries, the health. And when you're giving a guy like that a super max contract, paying over what, $300 million, $350 million, whatever it is, for a guy that doesn't take care of themselves, I think from a business perspective, you can understand. You've got a guy that is, unlike LeBron James, not committed, fully committed to health, wellness, conditioning, and then also not committed on the defensive side. And you've got to give that guy the biggest contract in NBA history. I can understand the hesitation. Like, I do get it. I'm not loving it as a fan, but I get the hesitation. Keep going. Appreciate the comments, by the way. I do agree, JJ. Mark Cuban would have never allowed this trade to happen. Yeah, I don't think that you move on from Luka either, but I'm not just going to sit on here and try and just be negative the entire time like everybody else is. Like, I don't know. Everybody's doing that today. What I am going to try and do is swing it the other way a little bit, play from the other side. 9 million people today are saying that it's a bad trade. Let's try and take it from a different angle. Like, I mean, I don't think anybody wants to sit here and just listen to somebody whine for an hour straight. Let me offer a couple of insights as to why this might not be the worst thing in the world. But I will say this. It's a sad day to be a Mavs fan. Luka Doncic was the future. It's a sad day to be a Mavs fan. 100%. Keep going. No matter how you spin it, it's an awful trade. Deal was done. I don't think we're moving to Vegas. I don't think the Mavs are going to move to Vegas. I think that's a little bit of a conspiracy theory. There's a lot of other teams I think that they would rather move to Vegas than Dallas. I don't think Dallas is moving to Vegas. I know there's like the Adelson connection and everything like that. I don't think that the NBA is trying to lose the Dallas-Fort Worth market. There's a bunch of other teams the NBA would rather move to Vegas than the Mavericks. So I don't see that point. Yeah, back and forth. I know some. Let's see. Oh, okay, somebody's just upset because I didn't single out their comment. All right, whatever. I know I missed some of y'all's comments, but I'm trying. Those of y'all that have hung out with me for the past however long, y'all know I get to it eventually. I think Luka's a 2-year rental. Joseph, what's good, man? If you're still hanging out, Luka, is he going to stay in LA? Like, is he going to stay in LA? I think a lot of people assume yes, just because big market, big brand. I think Luka could make a lot of money in LA. So from a business perspective for Luka, I think that staying in LA makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. But he could be a 2-year rental. He easily could be. He doesn't have to stay in Los Angeles, but I have a feeling that he probably will, unless it really goes poorly there over the next 2 seasons, or the ownership just does not put together anything attractive in terms of a team around Luka that's going to go all the way. I mean, look, the Lakers are going to have to rely on getting some free agents to come there. They don't have a lot of first-round picks. You're going to have to rely on Lakers getting free agents. And I think that they will be able to get some. We'll see who it is, who's going to go along and play with Luka. I think that they're going to be good. I think they're going to make some playoff runs. Don't get it twisted. But I do think that Luka could potentially leave. There is maybe a chance that that happens. I do think for the sake of his brand and his business, I would stay. Keep going. You're trying to justify the crazy trade they made and try to make it a positive. Yeah, that's all we're doing. Like, look, again, I know some people are going to get mad that that I'm not just sitting here complaining nonstop, but I'm going to try and justify it. I'm going to try and make it into a positive. I'm going to try and see the other side. It's devastating to lose Luka. Yeah, I'm going to keep it 100. It's devastating to lose Luka Doncic. But what I'm trying to do, because I'm not fair weather, I'm not trying to quit, not be a fan of the Mavs anymore. Like, I'm a fan of the team over any player. I'm going to try and spin this one well as I can. I will say this, and this goes to a comment I just saw on YouTube. Dallas is going to be good short term. Lively, you've got PJ, you've got Kyrie, you've got Clay, you've got AD. Like, this team is going to win some ball games if everybody can get healthy. So I don't think that that's spinning it or, speaking anything other than facts. It's definitely not cap. Like, they are going to be good in the short term. It's the long-term plan I think that everybody who's a Mavs fan should be concerned about. All right, let me see. Fox and Zach traded. Yup. Feel bad for Dirk. Dirk sent out the wide-eyed emoji. That was it last night, I think, when everything was going. Look, Dirk is a special advisor right now to the team. Can't imagine that Dirk signed off on this deal. I can't imagine it. So I'm curious, man. I know Dirk is not going to give it up. I would love to hear what Dirk's attitude on the trade is. I would love to hear his candid thoughts on this trade. I don't think he's going to give it too classy. Maybe years from now on a podcast, he'll let it loose, but I don't think Dirk is going to say a whole lot. Like, I think that emoji you got from him last night is about all you're going to get. But I can't think that Dirk is too happy about the trade. I would have paid Luka too. He said, Richard says, I think Luka will opt out and go to Denver with Jokic after next year. I don't know if Luka is going to stay in LA long term. It just depends on what your goals are. Like, if your goal is, I want to grow my brand, my business, I don't really think there's a better place than LA. Like, you watch Shohei Ohtani, even LeBron, like, it's very, very marketable to be a Los Angeles Laker. If winning is your main goal, there might be better teams that Luka can go to, no doubt. But I think in terms of personal brand, business, LA is a great spot. Keep going. Celtics fans stranded in DFW. Sorry for your lost thoughts and prayers. Appreciate the thoughts and prayers, man. Appreciate that. We keep going. Fox and Wemby will do some work. I do think San Antonio right now is like 3.5 games behind the Mavs, if I'm not mistaken. I could see them making a push here. It's going to be tight. I think the Mavs are going to find their way into the playoffs. I don't think they missed the playoffs with a healthy starting five, D-Live, AD, Kyrie. I don't think they missed the playoffs by any means. Could San Antonio sneak in? Only a few games out, and 32 games left? Definitely possible. How quickly are they going to be able to all gel as a team? We'll see. But De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, definitely a huge upgrade. Keep going. They said it's been in the whispers of the Luka trade was in the shadows for 4 weeks. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they kept this so quiet, I mean, look, in a way, I mean, props to Nico. How do you keep this kind of trade as quiet as they did? Pelinka and Nico Harrison. Like, I don't even know how this trade, rumors of it, I don't understand how nothing got out. Pretty crazy. Richard says this will be forgotten about when Jerry makes some dumb draft day moves. 100%. 100%. We keep going. Luka can re-sign with the Mavs. I don't think Luka's ever coming back to Dallas. Why would you? I don't think Luka is ever coming back to Dallas. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it. First, no Sasaki, and now Luka. Yep, Rangers missed out on Roki Sasaki, and now LA takes another one. Come on now. Let me keep going. There is no positive. I wouldn't say no positive. Positive is the Mavs are still a contender. The Mavs, I think, as you look at the West, can compete with almost any team in the West at this point. I think they're one of the best defensive teams in the league, adding Anthony Davis. That is the positive. Those are facts, no cap there, but long term, I'm with you. The long term is what I'm worried about, and I don't know what the Mavs are going to do without Luka Doncic long term. Right now, I think the Mavs are going to be fine. I think they're going to win quite a few games with Anthony Davis, Kyrie, D-Live, Gaff, all those guys. I think that we easily could see the Mavs getting back to the Western Conference Finals this year, maybe even getting back to the NBA Finals. Is anybody really going to be shocked if the Mavs make it all the way back this year with AD, Kyrie, Clay, and the rest of the guys? Like, I don't think it is like a huge shock surprise if that ends up happening. So we'll see. I think the Mavs, though, are going to surprise a lot of people. The Lakers, I feel like the Lakers right now have higher odds than the Mavs to win it all. I just don't get that. I don't know how you look at the Lakers right now. I'm going to look up NBA championship odds, and we're going to go through this real quick. I have no idea how you sit there and say that the Lakers have a better chance than the Mavs to win the championship this year. That makes like little to no sense to me. Maybe it's just an overreaction to Luka. The Lakers are 16-1, and the Mavs are 33-1 right now. If these are updated, I'm on ESPN right now. That makes no sense to me. The Lakers right now, without Anthony Davis, probably one of the worst defenses in the league. LeBron, Luka, not sure how they're going to mesh. I think AD, a much more seamless transition into the Dallas system than Luka is going to have going into the Lakers system. You've got LeBron, Luka, both love to have the ball in their hands. I'm sure that they'll take some pages out of the Kyrie Luka book, but I don't understand. 16-1 for the Lakers, 33-1 for the Mavs. Makes no sense to me. I think Mavs by far better chance to win the title than the Lakers right now. Keep going. I agree. Top 3 team in the West. The Mavs are a top 3 team in the West. Put OKC in there. I think you can definitely put the Nuggets up there too. I don't think there's anybody better, you can argue, than Nuggets or Thunder. And I think the Mavs have the Thunder's number right now. And Denver, not an awesome defensive team anymore. Obviously, they have Jokic, they've got Murray, they've got some talented players. But I think Dallas matches well against Denver. I think they match well against Minnesota. I think they match well against just about everybody in the West. Can they beat Boston? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to get over that hump. I think Boston is a great team. Cleveland looks pretty good right now. Don't really have to battle it out with Cleveland until the NBA Finals. New York, I think Mavs could get past a New York Knicks team if they were to meet in the finals. I really do feel like the Mavs should be a lot higher than 33-1, but maybe that's just the homer in me talking. I do think, and I'm going to go to this, it's not a popular opinion. I 100% agree with this comment coming in on YouTube. The Mavs match up with the Celtics a lot better now. Like, you could, with Luka, just totally pick the Mavs defense apart. The Boston Celtics, the big reason why they were to have as much success as they did is that Luka was a crazy liability in the finals defensively. And then the Celtics play incredible defense themselves, and they found ways to limit Luka and Kyrie. Kyrie did not have a great NBA Finals. Like, I know Luka got a lot of crap for the NBA Finals last year. Kyrie did not have a great NBA Finals. He didn't. I do think that the Mavs match up better with Boston with a healthy AD, Kyrie, D-Live, Klay Thompson. I think they match up a little better. I'm not saying it's by and far better, but I am saying I think it is better. Long term, I think that the move is going to be a negative unless the Mavs get lucky and they can get their star of the future. We keep going. Still don't think Mavs get past OKC. I don't know. I think the Mavs have OKC's number. I think that the Mavs are in the Thunder's head a little bit. You look at some of the matchups in the regular season, like I'll take AD and Kyrie and Klay against the young Thunder team. I think if you're looking at the Thunder, I'm not scared of running into them. I don't think anybody on the Mavs is scared of running into the Thunder. The loser in this trade is somehow the Cowboys. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, look, OKC, I hesitate to use the word soft for a team of that caliber. I know what you mean. I just think OKC, inexperienced in the playoffs, you got to be a freaking dog in the playoffs, and that veteran experience matters. It's a different style of ball in the playoffs. I think that the Mavs have OKC's number. And I think that the Mavs, as currently constructed, can beat OKC in a 7-game series. You saw that last year. Granted, I know they had Luka. I think the Mavs match up pretty well with the Thunder. It's definitely a matchup I would go into not feeling overconfident like it's going to be a blowout. Mavs are going to win 4-1 or even 4-2. But it is a series I go into thinking 100% the Mavs can win. Absolutely. And I do agree with this. Appreciate all the comments, by the way, man. CSS says Mavs can play half court. OKC, not as much. OKC, it's a lot of transition. It's a lot of transition, a lot of running up and down. And obviously, that can be really, really effective. I do think that the Mavs have an advantage in a series like that. We keep going. Let me go back to TikTok, see what we got going on. Appreciate all y'all. Luka was the Mavericks. He was the face of the franchise. Like, I'm not super pumped that we lost Luka. Don't take it the wrong way. Like, I'll try and be as positive as I can as a Mavs fan looking to the future. Like, there's no use looking back. The trade happened. It is what it is. But I do think the face of the franchise, it's a sad day to be a Mavs fan, no doubt. Here's another person just cherry picking the score from today. Like, bro, did you even watch the game today? Like, if you watched the game today, why on earth would you be trying to bring up the score like it means something even remotely meaningful? The Mavs played nobody today. I don't know how many times I need to say that. They didn't play Kyrie Irving. I don't think Daniel Gafford played. Clearly, they didn't have AD. Luka wasn't playing. Why on earth would you use the score from today as any kind of meaningful statistic or point? You clearly had no idea what was going on today. If you're going to bring up today's score like it means something special. Like, let's go. Come on. Shows that the depth isn't there to beat OKC. Well, I, again, don't understand that point either, Evan. Like, come on. If you don't have Kyrie Irving or Anthony Davis playing, you're not going to win against OKC. So, yeah, you're right. I'll give you that point. If Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving don't play in the playoff series against OKC, they're probably not going to win. I didn't feel like I really needed to say that out loud, but let's not make today's game, the 144-101 against the Cavs game, about depth. This game means nothing. They played nobody the day after losing the face of their franchise. The game today means absolutely nothing if you're trying to make a conclusion about the trade or how the rest of the season's going to go. Keep going. Appreciate all y'all. Let me see what I missed. Mavs ain't beating anybody now. Nah. JJ, very true. Way better defensively. Going to give AD a shot. I'm going to give AD a shot too. I'm not trying to be one of those crybaby fans that's about to give up on the Mavs and never watch them again. Like, I don't have any respect for that. I'm sorry. The people saying I'm never going to watch the Mavs again, you weren't that big of a fan to begin with. You weren't. If you are sitting there saying because they traded Luka, you are no longer a fan and you're going to pick up some other team, you weren't really that big of a fan to begin with. I don't know. I love my teams hard, and I am a diehard fan. Mavs, Cowboys, Rangers, Longhorns. Like, I'm a diehard. It is pretty much impossible for me to stop cheering for the teams that I love, that I've grown up with since I was a kid. I don't know. Anybody seriously saying they're done with the Mavs, super weak. You weren't a real fan to begin with. Keep going. Mavs not going to do well this season. AD not happy. I think AD is going to be a lot happier in Dallas than he was in LA. AD's got a good relationship with Nico Harrison. Jay Kidd coached AD when they won it all in the bubble. Kyrie and AD, good friends. I don't think chemistry is going to be an issue at all for Dallas. I think that AD is going to come into that system and it's going to be a fairly seamless transition. Dallas offense is built for a guy like Kyrie, a ball handler, Luka, obviously, when they had Luka, and your bigs. The system is built for a guy like AD. I don't think it's going to be that tough a transition at all. The pick and roll is going to be crazy. The pick and roll with Kyrie and AD is going to be insane. You will have to trust me if you don't believe it now. we will be watching highlight reels of those two running the pick and roll. And there will be many if they get an extended period of time to play together. It is going to be a crazy highlight reel of pick and roll. I couldn't agree more. Appreciate that comment. Yeah, I don't get the odds either. 33-1, but the Lakers are 16-1. I'm going to double check that, y'all. Like, I got to double check this. Like, really? Let's see. I got to see if these are updated, man. Yeah, Mavs. I'm on Vegas Insider right now. Let's see what DraftKings have the Mavs at 35-1 and the Lakers at 17-1. I don't get that at all. At all. I mean, keep on going here. Appreciate it. Yeah, I got a comment. First round picks are overhyped. Let's talk about that for a second. I kind of let in with that. I get it. We wish we would have gotten more first round picks. Can we just be real? First round picks are more valuable as draft capital than actual picks. It's not common that you get a generational talent from a first round pick. You can get a good player, you can get a decent player. A generational talent that just does not come around every single first round pick that you ever make. So for me, I am not a big fan of, I'd rather have first round picks than players that can win now. And by the way, players that are on the all defensive team and all NBA team like Anthony Davis is. Like, give me Anthony Davis and a couple first round picks. I wish they would have gotten a second. Give me AD and a couple first round picks over 4 first round picks. I don't know. The stockpiling of picks, it's great for the draft capital. Not a big fan of prioritizing first round draft picks over players that are all NBA, all defense like AD. Let me keep going. OKC versus Celtics, can't see it. Luka's never going back. I do agree with that, Drew. I think he is going to like LA. I'd be surprised if he moves on. Zion to the Spurs would be amazing. Maybe. Dirk is punching the damn hair right now. I can't imagine Dirk is happy. I can't imagine Dirk is too happy right now. Let me get down to the bottom. I'm going to catch up here. No way Kyrie is happy. I think Kyrie obviously enjoyed playing with Luka. I think they had a really good rapport and connection. I don't think with AD coming into town, you're going to have a lot of time to sit there and pout. And Kyrie has a good relationship with AD. So the Kyrie unhappy, asking for a trade, I think everybody's going to see how it plays out this year. But I don't think that Kyrie is going to be sitting around pouting. He gets to play with a really good friend in AD. This has been Kyrie's team since he's come. I do think Kyrie probably a bigger leader in the locker room than Luka. I think everybody respects Luka, clearly knows how incredibly talented he is, but I do agree with that comment. I do think this has been Kyrie's team. 100%. Let me keep going. I'm a Mavs fan, but can't get a Luka jersey in blue now. Look, the Luka jerseys, yeah, you see which jersey I'm wearing right now. I'm keeping my Luka jersey. I'm not donating it to the Mavs front steps like you see some people doing. Again, come on now. I got better things to do than go protest an NBA trade. As much as I love the NBA and as much as I love the Mavericks, I got better things to do than go protest on the AAC steps. Come on now. And I'm surely not giving them my hard-earned jersey that I paid for with my own real money. I'm keeping my Luka jersey. This is always going to be a special player and an outstanding memory, Luka's time with the Mavs, no matter how you put it. Why are you giving up your Luka jersey? Anybody that put it on the AAC steps, why? I mean, look, I've bought my Luka jerseys with my hard-earned cash. I'm not trying to give it up for free. I don't get that at all. All right, let me keep going here. Appreciate. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Let's see. Who do I have coming out of the West? OKC or Dallas? OKC or Dallas? CSS, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate that comment. I try. Look, I know in sports media, it's a very oversaturated market. Look, I try to balance it out. Like, I'll sit there on a live and I'll give you my live reaction to a game as it's going down. It gets emotional. I tried not to get on right away and think about this one, let it play out. It's tough. It's still early. I love Luka. Not the hugest fan of the trade, but it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Yeah, Mavs are the strongest at the big man positions. Can't agree more. As a Lakers fan, good luck with Captain. Get hurt a lot. Sad to see him go, but trust me, when he's healthy, insanely great player. Yeah, look, Luka as well, though, right? I mean, Luka, AD, not the greatest track record with staying healthy. I will say, though, AD last 2 seasons, been pretty healthy. Been pretty healthy. Let's see. Prosper played 31 minutes today. That says it all. Look, I'm interested to see how Prosper plays. I really am. That's a good point. Mourn the loss of Luka, Mike says, but be excited about AD. Great player, will fit really well next to Kyrie. I'm telling y'all, those highlight reels are going to be insane with Kyrie and AD. I want to see with AI and everything as awesome as it is, I want to see somebody put together something right now. A little edit with Kyrie and AD in Mavs unis, lobbing it up, playing the pick and roll game. Somebody's got to get it going right now. Come on. Let me keep going. See what we got. Anything else? Yeah, agreed. Like, outside of Cooper Flag, this is going to the point I made about first-round draft picks. Like, obviously, Cooper Flag, Harper's up there. Like, there are some top names. If you don't have a top 5 pick, like, you might end up getting a really, really great elite NBA player, but your chances are not awesome. A lot of first-round picks in the NBA, they become serviceable players. They become really good, really solid players. Like, you don't get a Luka in the first round every single year. You just don't. So for me, again, like, stockpiling 4 or 5 first-round picks, I would have liked the Mavs to get 2 first-round picks instead of 1. But give me AD with a couple first-round picks over 4 first-round picks or 5 first-round picks, and you totally have nobody. I don't know who would rather have 4 or 5 first-round picks than AD and a couple firsts. Ben, I do agree with you. I don't think the Mavs handled it super great with Luka. I wish it could have gone down a lot differently. You let him know after the trade's announced. You cause him to lose out on a Supermax deal. Who knows what the conversations were like behind closed doors, but it does seem like they did Luka a little dirty. I got to say I'm with you on that. Lakers did. I mean, this is how I think you have to think about it in your mind, just maybe to get over it as a Mavs fan. Like, we gave up probably one of the worst defensive players in the league in Luka for the best. I think AD is probably top 3 defensive players in the league, maybe if not the best. I think those are the positive spins that you got to try and go with just to get over it and start trying to see the positive. Again, still don't love the Luka trade, but I think this is facts right here. Brent Hoops, appreciate the comment. Adrian says, you got a great player. We're going to miss AD. I feel the same way. Window's a little shorter for the Mavs than the Lakers, obviously, but Mavs got a good 3-4 year window right now, I think. Let's maximize it. It is what it is. Yeah, I agree. Christian, this is basically what I was saying. Appreciate the comment. Like, the draft picks are more valuable as capital, right? Like, there's definitely like a value in the name, first round draft pick, right? But the players that they turn into, I don't know, really justify putting the priority on draft picks over maybe getting a guy like Anthony Davis and a little bit less of those draft picks. That's my preference in almost every sport. Problem was Luka's work ethic. Not anything else. I believe if he would have had a better work ethic, Dallas would have actually paid him. I agree. I think that is the big point out of Dallas, the work ethic. Maybe the lack of work ethic causing him to not be healthy. You don't know what the connection is there, not sure, but I do think that it turned into a little bit of an ego trade. Nico Harrison, the front office, want Luka to be better conditioned, better defensively, and you just didn't see that happen. Whether Luka's incapable or just unwilling or not committed, who knows? But I do think that is what it turned into. Nathaniel, what's good, man? Thanks for tuning in. Get through this season. If it doesn't feel right, trade AD. There'll be a line of suitors. I do think you could always blow it up. Like, you could start from scratch, trade AD if it doesn't work. I think it's actually going to go really well with AD. It's just a matter of how long is AD going to continue to play at 42 points, 23 rebounds level, like his last full stat line was. Like, how long are we going to get that out of AD? That's the question. Let me keep going. Oh, Elliot, what's good? Yeah, Fox got traded. Levine as well. Yeah, saw that. We talked about it a little bit. Spurs trying to make that play-in tourney. They got a shot, like 32 games left, 3.5 games out of the play-in tourney. I think they got a chance. Let me keep going. Can't trade AD if he's going to be hurt, but last 2 years he's been healthy. So you're right. Potentially injury would ruin all that, but he's healthy right now. We keep going. I feel for Mavs fans, worst move ever. Look, there's worse moves, but it does suck. Losing Luka sucks. Mavs fan, don't be sad. Kyrie and AD can feed families for generations. I think we're going to have a lot of fun watching those two. It's going to take an amazing game from both of them, from that duo, to help Mavs fans feel better. Again, I'm so over the Mavs fans online saying they're not going to be fans of the team anymore. Like, you're not a real fan. You're not a real fan if you're ditching the Mavs over this move. Be upset about it. Come on. If you're a true fan, if you're a diehard, you're rocking with whatever's out there. It's bigger than one player. That's how I'll always feel. I'll be frustrated with the trade. I don't have to like it, but I'm here. Like, ride or die, better for worse, rain or shine. I'm a Mavs fan. I'm not trying to join some other fan base because of one trade that I don't love. I'm just not going to do it. So I'll leave that to everybody else that's whining online today. But look, I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan till I die, and I'm going to find a way to get on board. And I'm looking forward to the Luka AD tandem. I think it's going to be great. We keep going. Look, nobody's saying they won the trade. I think in the short term, the Mavericks actually may have gotten a little bit better, as crazy as that sounds. Long term, though, it's tough to argue that they're better off. It is. Let me keep going. Patriots fan. Yeah, no Patriots fan is super happy right now, but I totally agree with this. Like, if you're a Patriots fan, they're going through a tough spot right now. You're not a real fan if you ain't hanging with them in the down years. Like, it's the same way with the Cowboys, right? Like, I'm a Cowboys fan, grew up 5 minutes from the stadium. Like, I'm not bailing on the Cowboys just because of Jerry Jones. Like, I can't do it. Cowboys fan till I die. Mavs, Rangers, all those teams. Keep going. I remember most Mavs fans felt this way when Finley came over to SA. Feels like worse than when Finley came over to SA, though. When Finley went to San Antonio, it wasn't a great feeling, but I think that this Luka one is much worse. Stars are the bright spot right now. Stars, and I'll say the Rangers too. Like, Rangers had a bad year last year, but I feel pretty good about where the Rangers are going this year. Luka just took the Mavs to the finals. He did, but again, like, the analogy that I've given in the past, like, think about the Warriors back in the mid-2010s when they were making the playoffs, Steph, Clay emerging, Mark Jackson, coach, having a lot of success, fired Mark Jackson, right? Then they go out and they get Steve Kerr, elevates them to a different level. They go add KD. You have to sometimes make unpopular decisions to get over the hump. Sometimes you fail. Sometimes it works out. Clearly, they really believe that getting AD is going to get them over the hump to a championship. We'll see what happens. It could fall flat on its face, but I do think that's the rationale. Like, yes, you could be satisfied. Luka's gotten us to a Western Conference Finals twice. We've been to an NBA Finals with Luka, got blown out, but we've been there. And this is basically saying, hey, we think AD puts us over the top. Time will tell. All right. I'm going to take off, y'all. I've been on here long enough, but we'll talk more when AD finally makes his first debut. Maybe we'll get back on, do another Mavs live, but I have got to call it a night for now. Been a crazy 24 hours. Man, I'm going to miss Luka. I don't know how else to say it. I'm going to miss Luka. I'm looking forward to seeing what AD and Kyrie can do together along with the rest of the squad, but going to miss Luka Magic a lot. And I wish he was going to a different team other than the Lakers so I could cheer for him a little bit harder. I'm always going to have a soft spot for Luka, but it's going to be hard wishing him success as a Los Angeles Laker. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. It's tough. Like, if it was any other team, I think it'd be easier. Lakers, it's going to be hard. But I think Luka is absolutely capable of going on doing special things with LA. We'll see what they put around him, but I am excited to see the next chapter for the Mavs. The only way out is through. Straight ahead, man. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to sit here and whine about this forever and ever. Let's get on board. Let's see what this looks like, and we'll make our conclusions at the end of the year. Hopefully, it's with the Mavs making a really long run into the playoffs. Maybe it won't work out. There's some ways out, I think, if you decide that this isn't going to work with AD. But let's see it play out. Like Nico said at the presser today, like, time's going to tell, and we'll see if he was right or if he was wrong. But I appreciate all y'all hanging out. Thank you so much for all the comments, all y'all that followed. Thank you for sharing the live. I see a number of people shared. Thank you. I appreciate it. And by the way, I am live on Wednesdays to talk Texas Rangers offseason, pitchers and catchers reporting soon. I do a Dallas Cowboys weekly show as well. I'll probably be doing that maybe tomorrow night, Monday night, or Sunday nights usually when I do that. And then I'll also get into Texas Longhorns offseason stuff as well. All the teams I love from the great state of Texas. Grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A lot of DFW teams, but some Texas teams in general as well mixed in there. Thank you so much for the support. Grateful for all of y'all. Thank you for hanging out. We're going to get through this. It's a little bit of therapy hanging out with y'all. I'm not going to lie. But you know what? Let's give Kyrie and AD a chance. Who knows? Maybe we'll be ending the season lifting a trophy. And this is all going to seem like wild that we made such a stink about it. I hope so. I sure hope so. But time will tell. All right, y'all. Hope you have a great week ahead. Thank you again for all the comments and the shares and the likes. Thanks for watching. As I always say to end every show, God bless. Go Mavericks.